Let's make some simple addition questions. Let's say that you've just got done watching a video on Khan Academy, or your students have just got done watching a video on Khan Academy on Basic Addition, or your kids have just got done watching a video on Basic Addition and you want to help them learn addition within 5. And of course Khan Academy has great help on their site, but let's say you just want to have worksheets created, or you'd like to make your own questions in your own learning management system like Blackboard. So let's do that. So let's open up Excel. We'll just call it addition to 5. And let's make a simple worksheet first. Or no, first let's make the test pool. That'll be easier that way. So we want everything within 5. Now we can use random numbers if we want to. We can have a random number between 0 and 5, and then make sure that we don't go over 5. So we can have a random number between 2 and 5 minus this number. Of course, it can give us some weird answers here, so we'll rethink through that here in a little bit. But that's why I want to start with the test pools first. That we're going to have everything that might equal up to 5. So if we have here 0 plus, let's say 0, and 0 plus 1, we can have a nice simple progression through here, and we can even put something nice to let them know this is what we're looking for. Same thing here, and we can drag these down to 5. 0 plus 0, 0 plus 1, 0 plus 2, 0 plus 3, 0 plus 4, and 0 plus 5. And we say okay, and we want also zeros on the other side, so it makes it nice to just move these around right over here. Say those are zeros. And we won't do 0 plus 0 again, but we will do these again. Just like this, and we'll drop this down, and we will drop this down. So these are all exactly what we're wanting, but for these test pools that we're going to create, we want to make sure that we have some spaces in between here. I'll let you know why in just a second, because when we create in Excel to get something in Blackboard Quiz Generator, something like a fill-in-the-blank question, we want to be able to format it correctly. So when we look at the Blackboard Quiz Generator formatting techniques, we'll see that it's nice to have a couple of spaces in between here. So once I get done with this, we'll see that we're going to use the function concatenate to create the pool, and this will make it nice and easy to just drop down everything and create lots of questions this way. So this is going to be a very simple test pool that, you know, whenever you're teaching addition, you don't want to just go, okay, let's do all the numbers, you know, up to 5 added to up till 5, because then kids are trying to learn numbers, and learning numbers within 5 is a nice way to do it. A lot of schools are doing that, to have to have number fluency within 5. So there we go. So 5 plus 0 equals something. So everything is within 5. And let's have the numbers here equals, we're going to concatenate one, and we'll just use 1 every time just to show you that it doesn't matter what type of number you use in the Blackboard quiz generator. But again, you can do it however you want to. So this and this and this and this. Close that up. Let's see if, yes, we're trying to make a formula. Didn't like that initial quotation mark there, so that was my fault. Okay. So let's see where we went wrong here. I want to make sure to have a space between the plus sign, and we'll have to make sure to drop that down all the way. Anytime you make a mistake and want to transfer it to the rest of them, you want to make sure to immediately do that so you don't mess up. So we have this equals, we're still missing that one right there. Alright. Perfect. So we have this. We can drop this down. See that that's exactly what we're wanting. And we can have the answer here as A period, and then this number plus this number. Of course, you know what it's going to be, but that's okay. We'll still let Excel do it for us. And I forgot also to make sure these were fill in the blank questions, just like that. So we want to drop this down all the way down here. We have this nice little question set coming along so far. Now we just have 0 so far, and we're going to fix that in a little bit, but we're just look at it, and this is the format we're going to use for test pools. Not necessarily for worksheets that I'll also make and also give you for free online. But I also want to make sure you can have the test pools to use yourself online, an Excel program, the Excel spreadsheet that you can edit these questions as well. So let's keep on going. We have zeros and the reverse of zeros. Now we need ones and the reverse of ones, but we really don't need 1 plus 0, 0 plus 1. So let's just go through here and copy and paste all the ones just to 4. Because remember, we don't want to add up to bigger than 6. We're bigger than 5, we just want to add up to 5. So let's put these questions right here and say we really just want 1. And if we're dealing with lots of numbers, we would just go ahead and type them right in. I mean, drag them down, make formulas with them, but we don't need them here with such a simple test pool that we want to do. And once we make worksheets, we will use random numbers. For this test pool, we want every single combination, every single permutation of numbers that will add up, whole numbers that will add up to 5 or less. So we have this, and now we want to reverse those. So I'm going to drop these down. And take the ones and move them over. But again, we don't need 1 plus 1 again. Now you can choose to use 1 plus 1 again, but I'm going to choose not to. Not that it's any difference. If you're trying to make everything perfectly even, you might decide that you want an equal chance of having 1 plus 1, that 1 being the first one or 1 being the second one. However you want to do it, I'm choosing not to. So I'm going to have these ones. over here and put these ones right there. And I'm just going to come back up here and choose the 2 through 4 and put it right here. So we have all the zeros. 0 plus 0 all the way to 0 plus 5. We're going to have all the ones all the way from 1 plus 0 to 1 plus 4, or 4 plus 1 on both sides. So right down here. So 1 plus 1 to 1 plus 4. Now, do we need 1 plus 0? Yes, but we already have it up here in 0 plus 1 and 1 plus 0. So it's even going to get smaller when we do the number 2. So if we take, so we had 5 options to start off with 0. And then we only used 4 options because we didn't redo, I'm sorry, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 options first, and then we went down to 5 options, and then with this next one in 1 we went down to 4 options, and now we have 3. We're running out because we can't do 3 plus 3. So next we're just going to have on the 2's, we already have 2 plus 1, we need 2 plus 2, and 2 plus 3. And really the only thing left is going to be 3 plus 2. So if I copy this, paste it right down here, we're going to have 3 plus 2, and that's all you can get. So we started off 6 options, 6 different ones where you start with 0, and you flip them. You have 5 questions here, 1 plus 0, 2 plus 0, all the way to 5 plus 0. Then we don't need 1 plus 0 again, we already have it, so 1 plus 1 all the way up to 1 plus 4. We flip those, but we don't need 1 plus 1 again, so we have 2 plus 1, 3 plus 1, 4 plus 1. We don't need 5 plus 1 because we're not going above 6. Then we're left with the 2's. We don't need 2 plus 1 or 1 plus 2 because we've already done that up here. So all we have is 2 plus 2, and then the only thing left is 2 plus 3 and 3 plus 2. You think, well, what about the 4's and the 5's? Because you can do this more. No, every 5 is connected. Every 5 is covered because the only 2 addition problems in whole numbers to get a 5 is 5 plus 0 or 0 plus 5, and we have these right here. So this is a perfect test pool that we want for like a Blackboard quiz generator if we want to put it in here and put these questions in. And a nice little simple way to do it. So we have simple addition up to 5. Put them right in. Create the quiz. And you have 21 questions here. 6 plus 5 plus 4 is 15, plus 3 is 18, plus 2 is 20, plus 1 is 21. That is what we have right there. So we just want to download it right there. So we have this nice test pool that you can use to put these simple fill-in-the-blank questions in Blackboard. But the good thing is if you don't want to fill in the blank questions, you can look at the documentation page for the Blackboard quiz generator. You might want to make some multiple choice questions. I don't know if matching questions would be the best here. Fill in the blank or multiple choice would be the best for this. But you can do whatever you want to with this Excel file because I'm giving it to you for free. So now that we have the Excel file, let's see how to create a worksheet doing the same thing but having a randomized worksheet. So for the first number, I'll put it over here. We're going to choose a number between 0 and 5. And 5. And the next number has to be a number between, see, we don't want to get up to 5. So if this is at most 5, this number has to be from 0 up until 5 minus this number. So we're going to have equals a random number And that's what threw me off at the very first part. I wasn't thinking it through. Between 0 and 5 minus this number. And that way, when we have we're just looking at this real quick, and we'll just pull these over just to make sure that nothing is going higher than 5. None of these two numbers are equaling more than 5. There's lots of zeros, and you might not like that, but that's okay. Let me look at this. Most of them have a 0 in them because of the way we're doing the random numbers. You might decide, that's just overkill on the zeros. We'll fix that, and that's fine. We can fix that. But for now, let's just leave it here. And let's say we want this to be a plus sign. And there are many different ways you can do this. Different ways you can format it. I'm just choosing to do it this way. So let's make it not smaller, but larger for printing. And we're going to move everything in just a little bit. Maybe just a little bit more, because everything is within 0 to 5. And we're going to put a bottom border on here that is thick, just like that. And again, lots of different ways you can do this, but we're going to choose to do it this way. And let's just see how it's going to look in a print preview, just like this, just what we want. But again, do we want to give them the answer? No. This is just making sure that these numbers add up. This was just a check. So let's go ahead and delete this and say, you know what, we want to pull this across and give the students room to work. Not that they need tons of room to work, but let's just see what happens if we bring it right over here. This is going to look good. We're going to have a little space on the edge just in case they need that, and we will give them this much room in order to do the problems. Again, just to make one page, so let's go down to the page break here, right here, and we'll say, you know what, we don't need this bottom part right here at all. So no problem. So we have this, and we're saying, you know what, on every other row, though, I really don't want any zeros on the top portion. So I want it between 1 and 5. And I think that's the way we're going to try this. So now there are never zeros here, but there could be, again, more zeros down there. Again, you're not going to be able to get around this issue so much unless you decide on this third row to not have any zeros. So you're going to say, okay, on this third row, none of these will ever be 0, but to make sure these aren't 0 as well, you need to make this between 1 and 5 minus, but then we're going to get an error here, most likely. So let's just pull this over and see how this is an issue. Why is that? Well, because you can have a random number between 1 and 5, and then have another random number between 1 and 5 minus this number, because if this is 5, you can't add 1 because it's going to be 6. So this number is between 1 and 4. Again, it's no big deal. So we're making the third row over here to where there are no zeros at all. This one will have no zeros in the first row, and this one are going to have zeros possibly in the first and second row. So we have 3 rows here, and how many more rows are there? There's 2 more rows. So what I'm going to want to do is make 3 rows. Let's put it down here. Okay, and then we're just going to scrunch everything up just a couple of pixels to make sure that we can fit 6 sets of questions on a sheet of paper. So once I do this, again, you can print as many of these as you want. This thing. So once we're in the guides for my particular printer, and you pull this down a while, it doesn't really matter how far you pull it. You can just pull it down to, let's say, this printer guide, and each page is going to work out just fine. So let's just make sure of that, where page 1 looks good, page 2, page 3, everything looks good because we use the printer guides, and there are 3 different types of problems. Up here we've got questions that might have a 0 in each the top and the bottom row. On the second row, we make sure not to have zeros on the first row, and in this third row, we make sure not to have zeros in anything, to where the students are getting used to you might really want to focus on these questions, but you still want the zeros in there. But if you don't do something about the zeros, you're going to have too many zeros. So I understand that. So you're going to have all of these that you can print off. And the thing about it is, if you say, you know what, I want 100 pages, that's fine. Do 100 pages. Just take one of these pages, all within the print guide. And it might be a different print guide on your computer. This is, half-inch margins. At least I think that's what it is. Or whatever the standard margins are in Excel for my printer. But you can pull these down as far as you want. No big deal. You can pull them down, pull them down, pull them down. Just keep on going. And you know what? If you're printing this many worksheets for your students or your kids, they might not like you all that much. If you really need to print them, 48 sheets that are all different, most likely, they're not going to have that much fun. But you can have this right here. So what we have, again, is the pools, or just a pool, and a worksheet. And I can also print up the PDF for the worksheet that I will put in I'll give you that for free as well. So you're going to get, of course, this video on how to create the pools in Excel. You're going to get the Blackboard test import zip file. You're going to get this Excel file that you can do whatever you want with, and I'll also give you the PDF of the different worksheets that you can print. So you can have all of that and have fun making these questions.